Good evening and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Welcome to another edition of Raw Music Urban Sessions. Our guests tonight are Planetary People. Why don't you introduce yourselves to the populace? Tell us who you are and what you play.
Mark, baby. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a planetary person playing guitar.
My name is Jim Piela. I'm a saxophone player.
My name is Mike Verselli. I play keyboards.
My name is Trevor Brown, and I play bass.
And I'm Josh Bailey on drums.
Well, gentlemen, welcome to the program this evening. That was an extraordinary opener, really smoking track. And you do say that I've been reading your bio before I prepped for the show, funk, jazz, hip-hop. It was all evident right there in the opening track, and I got a feeling we're going to hear more of that particular sound throughout it. Why, is there a rhyme or reason as to why you chose this particular path rather than embarked on one particular genre?
Yeah, I think so. We came up together. We were all in school together, jazz school, and as much as we love that music, because we really do, there was kind of a space in all of our hearts, I guess, for funk, fusion, rock. We all came up as individuals before we got to school, before we met, playing that sort of music. And we're in New York City. The universe is kind of our oyster, I guess. And putting all that together for us was a really fun kind of experiment. That's kind of where it started for us and evolved from there.
So I understand that you guys have been together actually for a fairly long time, going back to 2010, is that right? Is that what I was reading?
It's 2014.
2014?
Which puts us like between 10 and 12 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And have you been, this is the sound that you've been playing since your inception?
Not really, no.
It's
We kind of started
changed
as
a
like a
little.
funk cover band.
Yeah.
And we would just like play gigs, make $20 here and there.
Yeah,
And
just playing like Stevie Wonder and Prince and stuff.
yeah.
So then how did it evolve into what we currently, or we just enjoyed?
I think we decided that we wanted original music. We were tired of doing covers. And so then it was like, well, what do we each want to come to the table with? And someone would come in with a more Herbie Hancock sound. Someone will be like, oh, well, I was just listening to this Tribe Called Quest album. Or someone was like, well, I love John Coltrane, whatever. And so then we just would write songs in a room together.
That's interesting because you mentioned John Coltrane, you mentioned Tribe Called Quest, and you've referred to yourselves as this massive fusion band where you incorporate jazz and funk and hip hop, and certainly that Tribe Called Quest is a landmark artist in terms of the field of mixing hip hop with funk and the actual jazz elements.
Yeah.
So, what were you guys listening to when you first decided to make it into Planetary People? What was the kind of stuff that was influencing you?
I think it all depends on the individual person in the room. Like, like I kind of come from like definitely straight ahead background, like playing upright bass as well, and then listen to like rock and pop and D'Angelo and all that stuff. So it's like, that's like what it was like for me, and I think everyone else was pretty much the same, or maybe like slightly.
Yeah, I think the
slight
first song,
difference,
Bump, Mike on keys sort of originated. So I don't know, what were you digging into at the
Oh, yeah.
time?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been we wrote that one. I wrote that one a long time ago.
Maybe
I think it was kind
20.
of like Soul Live, Herbie,
Yeah,
John Schofield.
Schofield.
John
yeah, all those
Schofield.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like psychedelic
It's
groove.
The names that you guys are dropping, which is quite amazing. I mean, it really is across the spectrum of the sounds that you're trying to really represent in your music, and it's extraordinary. You can actually hear it. We're going to hear more of it right now, more evidence of all of the stuff that makes up the sound of Planetary People. They're going to play another track for us right now from their current album. It's actually the title track from their current album. This is Brace for Impact. Brace for Impact from Planetary People from the album of the same name, which was released in November of 2024. Gentlemen, anything behind the naming of that album and the naming of that track?
Well, we got to definitely shout out
yeah.
our man, Luis Paquet,
Yeah.
who had a huge part in the sound of the band and really helped us out in recording and producing the album.
Yeah, he's
forever
out of
grateful.
Roselle, New Jersey. We recorded at his spot, and he kind of helped us shape.
He was the first person who offered to record us. Actually, he recorded Stank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and
And
like
he came up with Brace for Impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
He
named
might
it.
have.
Yeah.
He named the album.
Because the whole thing was the sound of the songs sort of made someone like Luis, who was kind of producing us, have this outer space thing, you know? Like, I don't know, that wasn't the original plan, was for us to be this psychedelic space thing.
No, yeah.
It sort of came out of the songs we wrote and then the people that we worked with immediately at that time, their impression of those songs.
And how they eventually
Yeah.
shaped the songs because he's producing and
Yeah,
mixing.
like leaning into that sort of thing.
Further to that question, a follow-up on that question. You're instrumental artists primarily. So obviously naming a song that doesn't have any lyrics.
Yeah.
So how's that
Yeah.
process work? Does you come up with a name after you come up with a composition, or is it vice versa? How does that work in terms of what does the song sound like?
I feel like it's always after.
Or after the fact?
Always
It's always
after. And it
after
might
you
even
bring it in
change.
as-
And it might change, right?
Yeah, half the songs we call by different names than what are on the album because we wanted to choose less embarrassing shorthand names.
our Google folder is very confusing. Let's put it that way.
I found it incredibly interesting. I was listening to the album today, and now listening to you guys perform it live. How extraordinarily, it's almost a note-for-note rendition. Not only that, the sound of the record just came through in your performance. It's extraordinary. Most artists take a little bit of liberties between when they perform tracks from an album. You seem to be doing a note-for-note replication of it, and I say that in a complimentary fashion. It was dead on to the record. Is that something you focus on doing when you perform?
I think so. That's in the tradition of jazz, for sure. All of us in a room playing at the same time. And then in the tradition of more modern records, we added a ton of layers after the fact. Like Mike went crazy with synth layers and psychedelic things, same with guitars. A lot of that was Luis's idea at his studio.
Yeah, and also it's just all coming from playing anyway, and you can't really change the players and the sound like too drastically, especially when we're playing the same music that we have in our heads that way.
It's almost like we're not making a choice. It is what it is, and it's coming out in that way.
Well, let's hear some more of great music from this extraordinary group of gentlemen. This is another track from the album we are referencing, Brace for Impact. This is called Pop Fly. That was Pop Fly from Planetary People. Guys, during the pandemic, you did something really wild, very experimental. I was reading about this in your bio. You did this thing called Planetary Transmissions. It was a project that you embarked upon during lockdown when everyone was isolated. So you were all in separate places, but you were still creating, and you were basically putting out these snippets of music, and you were numbering each and every one of them and sending them out there into the ether. What was obviously the pandemic and the need to create was part of the inspiration, but where is the nexus of what you were doing it with and how it evolved into what you're doing today?
Well, who wants to start? Yeah.
I think it was a unique opportunity for musicians, I think, because there were no gigs, and we had the privilege and the time to focus on ourselves and the band, and so that's what we did, and we went like all the way as far as you could take it, I think.
Yeah. So every single week, one of the band members would generate a song idea, send that to the other four. That would turn into, with maybe some instructions, maybe not some instructions, everyone would record their parts, send it to the person who originated the song. They would usually tackle mixing that. Then we would get on Twitch and Jim would edit a video we would film ourselves having recorded our parts. He'd mix it together and we'd have a full video and mixed song every week for like 53, or was it 60?
I think it was 60 something.
Yeah.
Over 60 weeks, so over 60 songs.
Yeah.
60 transmissions, as you refer.
Yeah, weeks in a row.
transmissions.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we only missed. I don't know if
I don't
we
think
missed
we
any
missed
week.
any.
Yeah.
It was relentless.
Well,
Yeah.
we took a couple of breaks later on, and then the last group was actually in person because
Right.
as things were easing up, and we got together and did the last 8, I think, in 2 days or something like that.
That's right. We did
Oh,
it in
right,
person.
Yeah, but it ballooned. It started as like little demo tracks that we would kind of play with, and it ended up being huge. I wrote a big band chart. We did that live.
We had guest artists.
Yeah.
We did. There was like virtual fundraisers happening. People would be posting our videos on those to help as part of like a virtual music festival.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, I forgot about
things
that.
like
Yeah,
that.
for your brother's
For his music
band.
band.
That's
Yeah.
extraordinary to take something that universally a negative time in our history, in our collective history, and yet it inspired, like yourselves, there were many other artists from a lot of different disciplines who decided to utilize that time and continue to create. And frankly speaking, I applaud you and every other artist who did this because it kept the rest of us from going stark raving mad, I think,
Yeah.
really.
Same.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah.
was.
Same for us.
Yeah,
Same for us.
definitely. We kind of skated over the fighting the depression of the moment. That's why we did the first one anyway. We were like, let's just do something, and then it sort of evolved into this like we have to do it, and then that kind of pushed also the creativity into like many different directions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We all, I think, I'll speak for myself, experienced tremendous growth from that process,
Yeah.
learning
Yeah,
so
definitely.
many ins and outs of, just the music writing process, but then also mixing, Jim with all the video,
Video
editing,
editing.
Yeah.
just collaborating as a band,
And I think like
having that consistency.
I think like
yeah.
prior to that we had what, like 8 songs, 7 songs or something like that. Maybe not even. Like we just had basically like 45 minutes of music
Yeah.
for like
For a gig.
For a gig, yeah. And I think some of them were covers too.
Yep,
So
totally.
like
That's pretty
that,
amazing. It's pretty amazing. So from that dark period, gave birth to the band that we just witnessed perform 3 songs here today. Extraordinary band, by the way, gentlemen. It was a pleasure to have you here on the program. I look forward to hearing what you're going to put out in the near future as well. It really was extraordinary to watch you all perform. Planetary People is the name of the band. Look them up in all the usual places, right? You're on Spotify, you're on Bandcamp, I assume, all the usual
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
PlanetaryPeoplemusic.com.
Absolutely.
YouTube, all the transmissions are still up there.
All the transmissions are still up there. Check them out there. By the way, before we move on to the next song, please take the opportunity also to listen to my program on MakerParkRadio.nyc every other Saturday, The Rocker with Lorenzo Mamelli, where we play a diverse hodgepodge of generation-spanning tunes from across the rock spectrum. One more tune from these extraordinary musicians, Planetary People, signing off with this one called Stank. Thanks for watching.